Can't see my eyes. Hello, YouTube. Um, I'm back here again, and I would like to go over some things of OCD. As you can see, I got the little OCD monsters all around. What I what I picture OCD as is a monster, something that holds a gun to your head and pretty much is forcing you to act out these rituals and your compulsive behaviors to correct things or make things feel just right, or until you get it just right, as far as OCD is concerned. But yeah, these are like little OCD monsters whispering in your ear, in your thoughts. Um, Anyway, I found some old materials here from old past lots of therapists past. The ghost of therapists past. Merry Christmas, little children. Alright, anyway, so what we have here is, we'll start with this. This is a notebook I started a while ago. Like I always say in my videos, keep a diary of all your symptoms, or symptoms, whatever, your obsessions and your compulsions, the time it takes to carry them out a day, the level of anxiety. Um, so, some of the things that I've struggled and still struggle with, contamination, touching things, maybe that I feel are dirty, or um, I struggle a lot with scrupulosity, which is religious OCD. So, touching anything that may have anything on it that is just drives me nuts. But we'll talk about that later, and how I'm starting to, and actually getting over that one a bit more, since I've been on medications, which talk to your doctors about any and all medications that, before you go out and take anything. Don't ever take anything without your doctor's approval. But since I started on Zoloft and Xanax, um, it's a lot of things have gotten easier. It never truly goes away, and I never truly have a day where I don't have something come up with the OCD or anxiety. But it's getting better. I mean, like, I used to have fears of highways, I've said before, fears of bridges, um, and that's getting a lot better. The highways don't bother me anymore. The bridges sometimes give me a scare, but that's probably a lot of my fear of heights. I don't understand it. When I'm going up a bridge, it's like just you're going up, and it just gets scarier, and then as you're on your way down, you feel like I gotta get off the bridge. But I used to have a thing where I wouldn't take anything together, even though doctors said it was okay. So I'm big on taking vitamins and supplements. So I would have to separate all my medications, mainly throughout the day, which was very time consuming. Now I just take a handful of everything, pop it in, swallow it. So I've gotten over that. Um, with the pills, I've also had a little OCD thought come into my head saying, oh, if you take that, you're going to die, or if you take this, you're going to have a heart attack, and, the OCD monsters are going off right now even, but yeah, I've gotten a little bit better with that. Um, But yeah, like I written in here. This was probably about a year ago. Not afraid to travel too much anymore. Mainly, I first started on the Xanax, and that was really the breakthrough for me. Um, my psych, my psychiatrist's office, they have me taking the Xanax throughout the day. So it's like a preventative thing. Even if I'm not having a panic attack, they've noticed how it's helping with my OCD thoughts and slowing them down. So in order to um, prevent some things, I take it as like a preventative as well because it's been really good. Not only helping with my anxiety, but you know, slowing down the OCD and stopping some things. I suggest you be very careful with all those benzos like Xanax and things like that. They're very addicting. But so like yeah, so since I've been on the Xanax, I used to wake up with a fast heartbeat. Um, I've been to cardiologists hundreds and hundreds of times, gotten 4 and 5 different um, what is it called? You know, confirmations from different cardiologists, and they've all said not heart problems. So that was my OCD, but that was my anxiety, that was my hypochondriac OCD. I think it's called hypochondriasis. I don't know, but all these terms I don't know, but you understand what I'm talking about. So I wrote here, sleeping through the night, not waking up with a fast heartbeat. That has not happened in like over a year, and I've been on the Xanax about that time. Um, um, so I worried a lot about things like that, like with the heart and things. But um, I wrote down here, bridge fears were gone, but that was just one day or a couple days there. Washing, drying my hands a lot. In the especially in the winter time. I guess it's a combination of washing my hands so much and the cold. Um, but the hands start to crack and stuff. And I know some of you OCD washers that have washing OCD deal with that bleeding and hurting yourself. So yeah, I mean it's not a joke, and so but I so this is probably a little bit newer than I thought. So like I struggle with scrupulosity, mostly religious OCD. So when everything that I do is not done right, I'm either sinning by turning the TV on the wrong way, or I'm having a bad thought during a prayer, or reading a Bible verse. And like I said before in my previous videos, I've avoided church since Christmas Eve, pretty much. I just besides seeing the priest for counsel, which priests are very good for counseling, but because they seem to understand the scrupulosity more than a tradition, like a regular, maybe like a Pentecostal pastor or so. Anyway, let's get into some more things here. Alright, so like here's where I've took like you can't see it, but I've taken like a diary of my day. Struggled with prayer. I didn't even write what I struggled with, but I probably had to repeat it over and over again, certain parts of it to get it just right. I was probably having bad thoughts in my head. Um, and that is a common thing with me where I'll have to repeat it until and try to focus on something different other than those bad thoughts that were in my head. But I put medium to low anxiety. Repeated several times, also with compulsions. I wrote that there too. bad OCD thoughts against prayer. This is actually me going in more detail. So, bad thoughts, bad OCD thoughts against prayer and Bible verses. Bad thoughts had to be corrected with compulsions. Bad thoughts about draining the tub. I don't remember what that was. High anxiety. If I could remember what that was about. There's so many things you go through during the day with OCD. Um, Draining the tub could have been um, maybe a thought popped in my head that I was draining, you know, one of the Holy Trinity down the drain, or OCD. But could have been that the tub wasn't clean enough or something. I don't know. I wasn't doing it right, or when I touched the lever, I had a bad thought against God, so I had to repeat it. It's usually that for me. Um, I wrote down here that I don't like the SUDS level system. I'd rather just keep it minor, immediate, or severe. I mean, it's much easier for me than all those numbers. And then this is funny. Later on, I wrote several attempts to fix OCD thoughts about draining tub. Still working on it. That was so long ago. I don't really remember what it was. But okay, so here's something I wrote. Last 2 days have been good. Prayers easier. Um, get good sleep at night too. I put sleep and Xanax there. Those are two keys things that are helping me. Also, your vitamin B12. I believe that is good for some people with mental issues. So yeah. So and here's one I wrote: parking. Um, I have I had some trouble with the parking spots when I'm actually going to park at my therapist's office, and I would either park in the wrong spot or have a bad thought against God and have to park somewhere else. But anyway, and my ups and downs, I wrote. Um, so I had a fear of the serotonin SSIDs, I believe they're called, or like Zolofts, Luvox, things like that. But I had fears of those, and a lot of them affect the heart, and a lot of them can affect the heart. So like I said, my fears of the heart, and my cardiologist said that Zoloft is the only one, or the psychiatrist said it. But the cardiologist said he'd have no trouble with me starting anything because I don't have heart issues. But the Zoloft was the best option. So here I always have a symptom after taking drug, any kind of medications that the doctor gives me. Not always a symptom, but it's more of like I used to read every side effect before taking a new drug. I read the little 0.1%, and after I take a drug, I would get a pain, or I had a lot of um, choking in my throat. So every single drug that I was taking, I could not possibly be allergic to. So I was always thinking that I was going to go into anaphylactic shock. And I've retaken some things, especially for my acid problems, acid indigestion, that in the past that I've had the choking. I'm on the Xanax now, I'm on the Zoloft. I've retaken things that have given me issues before without fear. I had a little fear at first, but it wasn't as bad, and I just took it, and no choking, So what was that all about? I was always calling the doctor saying, "Oh, I have a knot in my throat. I'm choking." Anxiety. There is a possibility that people can be allergic to drugs. So, if you experience that, call your doctor. But if it's like in my case where it just continually happens, I mean, contact your doctor, of course, always. But in my case, it was my anxiety over taking a new drug. So let's see what else we got. Um, so another way that um, let's see here. I don't want to get into that right now. But the other thing wanted to show you guys is one of my therapists, one of the earlier ones, gave me note cards to write on. Okay, so here's one. Alright, so on the front, I wrote, see if you can see this. If I don't pray for forgiveness, I will go to hell. So that's probably for a non, I don't want to, I guess maybe a fake sin. Um, like where OCD says everything you're doing is a sin. So, and then on the other side, you would put down um, some things to get your mind off of it. Go and do another activity. Try to get the anxiety level down. But unless you're really sinning, you should pray for forgiveness, of course. But in OCD's case, everything seems to be a sin to someone struggling with religious OCD. And we're not only going to get into religious OCD here, but other types. But so on the other side, there's some things I wrote. Um, Number one, it's not me. In parentheses, I wouldn't think that. So like if I have the bad thoughts or something, PlayStation, PlayStation home game, whatever. Go to play something if that's your thing. If you like walking or bike riding, try that. Um, Sewing, whatever. I don't know. Just any activity or hobby that you like. Or going for a drive. Okay, so this is going for a drive without listening. There's, I don't see. It's been so long since I've had these cards. But going for a drive without listening could have been either. I had a thing where I had to always have religious music on in the car, um, which is hard for someone with OCD, with scrupulosity OCD and religious OCD, because the bad thoughts just come in and it attacks what's closest to your heart. Um, so if you struggle with any type of OCD, it's gonna attack whatever is important in your life, and there you go. It could be your only child. You could have bad thoughts against that. I mean, if you're having that, I've talked to the therapists and psychiatrists about that. But if it's OCD case, you could go into that. But that's an example of some things you could do there. There's another card that may be a little helpful here. It might be, oh, I get it. Okay, so it was going for a drive maybe without listening to the obsession, and the compulsion, and doing the ritual. Um, okay, so if this one says, I don't pray for forgiveness, I will go to hell again. On the back it says, state out loud, I would not do that. It is against God. And then it gives me, so whatever the bad thought was, which is OCD bad thought, most likely at the time, you state out loud, I will not do that. It is against God. It's not me. It's my OCD. It's a malfunction in my brain. It's a misfiring of the wiring, the levels of your serotonin, whatever you want to say, whatever helps you. You know, and then there's two things here after that to play PS3. I got a PS4 now, but anyway, to play PS3, that's one thing. Going for a drive, listen to music. So there's a couple of things there you could try. If I had my wallet, I'd show you, but this one therapist told me to envision a stop sign, and she actually printed me out stop signs, and she drew me one on a little card, and I keep that stop sign in my wallet. I believe I still do to this day. People ask me why do I have a little stop sign in my wallet. Well, OCD. Um, Sometimes you just gotta envision the stop sign. I actually put them up all over my room at one point. You just envision the stop sign and be like, stop. It's OCD. Take a breath. Take a few breaths. You know. You know. Just sit there, relax, and stop. Sometimes you just gotta say stop. But there's a lot of stuff here. She's giving me worksheets. Oh, this will be helpful. Cognitive behavior. Um, Therapy for OCD is self-directed program, and there's a worksheet that one of the therapists has given me, and I don't see anything I wrote in here, so let me check this other one. Preparing for the challenge, self-assessment. Oh, this is from the OCD workbook, I believe, that I own now, but here we go. Here's some more of my issues. And I was doing the disruption rating. Okay, no, this might be a different book, but I'm not sure. Fear of contaminating everything. I do have that fear of I don't want to contaminate other people's things, contaminate things in my apartment. So I wear gloves a lot when I do things, and you know, we got a little better with that, but that's another thing. Fear of being contaminated, fear of catching germs and getting sick, fear of chemicals and soaps at times. That's weird, isn't it? Like fear of being contaminated and then fear of chemicals and soap. All right, but it's OCD. It's crazy, man. And women. All right, others, saving items others may consider junk or trash. Hoarding, OCD. That's me. I have trouble throwing anything away, even a little slip of paper sometimes, a receipt. Um, I constantly have to check everything to make sure that most of the time that the receipt can be thrown away or the paper and the bag or plastic bag. There's always something left in the bag. I have to look, turn it inside out, and it's just a struggle. Um, Ordering obsessions. Um, so there, I don't struggle too much. This is exactly what I wrote. I don't struggle too much with this, if so, very rarely. I do order things a little bit. It's not a big one for me. Okay, religious obsession, scrupulosity, and excessive fear, worry, and preoccupation with violating moral and religious laws and rules, such as the fear of being punished for blasphemous thoughts. Alright, here's some of my symptoms: constant praying for forgiveness, bad thoughts about God, fear of dying or going to hell. I'll read these other ones. Contamination obsessions, the excessive fear of or disgust and or preoccupation with the avoidance of dirt, germs, contaminants of any kind. Hoarding, saving, and collecting obsessions, the excessive acquisition of and failure to discard possessions which appear to be useless or of very limited value. Ordering obsession, an excessive preoccupation with symmetry, exactness, or order. And now that I read that, I do struggle with that. Somatic health obsessions, fears and worrisome thoughts involving a preoccupation with the appearance of specific parts of the body or the possibility of having an illness or incurable disease. Okay, so this was big, and still struggle with these. Some of these, fear of heart attack, fear of diseases, fear of catastrophic illness, fear of having the worst. So what I mean by that is every time you get a headache, some people would just go rush off and take an ibuprofen or an aspirin. Well, us with OCD that struggle with this, the health obsessions. Oh well, will either look up our symptoms and say, oh, brain aneurysm, that must be what I have, you know. And it even bothers me now that you're saying that, but I gotta be strong for this video. Um, but anyway, um, any little pain is the worst possible scenario to someone with OCD health, you know, obsessions. So you know what I mean. There are times when you should contact your doctor, and definitely recommend it if you really, really are sick. But aggressive obsessions, excessive thoughts of causing harm to yourself or to others. Now there's a line between this one because there are people that have a different kind of mental illness that really can hurt people and themselves. So with OCD, they've told me that since mine is OCD, that it's just thoughts. You know, I'm one of the nicest guys that you could find. I'm very timid. I'm very shy. I have a soft heart, you know, and I couldn't hurt. I feel bad killing a bug. I mean, a lot of times I take the bug outside, even a spider or anything. So you know, all right. So fears of hurting people sometimes. My rating on that is a 2. So they wanted me to rate these on a scale from 1 to 3. 1 being mild symptom, 2 moderate symptom, and a 3 a severe symptom. So the breakdown of those is either just a slight nuisance or problem. Um, the second one is causes some anxiety and disruption in daily life, and causes much anxiety and great disruption in daily life is the third one. So I got a bunch of threes in, um, most likely a bunch of threes in, yeah, in the religious part. But so anyway, fear someone will be hurt or die if I don't do something. So a lot of people struggle with that. It's hyper responsibility, I believe it's called. You feel overly responsible for every action in the world. You feel responsible that your decisions, your choices will either have some kind of influence on someone's life. And a lot of times in stores or on the streets or anywhere, if I see something on the floor, tiniest little thing or anything, I'll push it under the shelf with my foot, because I'll be like, my OCD says someone's gonna trip on that and die or break their neck or arm, so you push it under or push it away. And if I don't do it, I'll worry and worry and worry and OCD and anxiety, and it just nags and nags like these little guys are doing. But also, like, if things on shelves aren't placed correctly in stores, um, I not only feel that I have to push them back sometimes so they don't fall on somebody's head, or sometimes if the labels aren't facing right, I have to put them back the right way, and that's a whole different type. But anyway, so that's nothing that I struggle with too much with the aggressive obsessions. Um, Sexual obsessions. Frequent, unwanted, worrisome, and intrusive sexual thoughts, images, or impulses. Now this is okay. Thoughts of sexual acts, sexual images and thoughts during prayer, unwanted sexual images and thoughts. I wrote all that down. I'm being honest. 3333. Struggle with it a lot. And I'll tell you why. Because um, partly I think it is OCD. I'm trying not to think of it. So they had the polar bear scenario where you try not to think of the polar bear, and you're gonna think of a polar bear because you're trying not to think of a polar bear. So during a prayer or during reading a verse, you're trying, with OCD, you're trying not to have um, a bad thought. You're trying to avoid it. You're trying to be like, okay, I'm going to get through this prayer, and I'm not going to think of um, calling God a bad name, and it's going to happen. So you just gotta. Sometimes I just go. You just gotta go and read. Let all the thoughts go and be there. God knows your heart. God knows your mind. And it goes for anyone else that's struggling with um, other things as well. Sometimes you just gotta let the anxiety be there and let it pass. And sometimes I go hours and I would still go back and repeat or do the ritual. Sometimes it always doesn't work. Um, Depends on the day, right? Anyway, miscellaneous obsessions. Those that don't fit into any of the descriptions above. So I guess they want you to just put down what relates to you. Fear of losing things and checking. Always, mostly always. I always think I leave something behind. If I was sitting in a doctor's office or in a store or waiting for a prescription or anywhere, movie theater especially, I overly check the seats and look behind me, especially in movie theaters. But I always turn my head when I get up from a chair when I'm out in public is to see if I left anything or dropped anything. Um, Constant fears of losing things is common in OCD. So I gave that a 2. So maybe that's bumped down to about a 1.5. 1.5 does not exist on here, but you know what I mean. Alright, fear and checking if I ran someone over. You hit a bump, you have OCD. Um, this is a common one. A lot of people struggle with this. You go back and check. I've gone back and checked so many times driving. Excuse me. It's just hard. But any kind of speed bump you run over, a pothole, um, you just you think an OCD, the OCD monster says, "Oh, you just might have ran over someone or something, animal or person. You better go back and check." So that's another one. Actually, getting very much better with that. Of course, if you really do run someone over, you should go check. But you'll know it. I mean, OCD, any little bump, OCD just says, "Oh, what if that was a person?" I can't count how many times I've gone back and checked. Um, Worrying, repeating, reading if I didn't understand or get it right. That's common. If I'm reading something I don't understand and keep reading it, uh, especially the Bible, or getting it right is possibly not reading the words correctly, or you know, stuff like that, or having bad thoughts during reading it too. Reading anything really. Um, Seeking constant reassurance. Always with OCD, there's reassurance. If you're health obsessions, doctors. That's why I've told you I've had thousands of visits. I'm sure in my life I'm over. I've been a lab rat in the hospitals because of my OCD and my anxiety, and I've been a just constant doctor, doctor's offices constantly. I've been so good with that lately, thank God. But I was like the youngest guy sitting in these offices at times, and there was just a bunch of seniors around me. And doctors saying you're too young for this and this and that, and one doctor called me crazy under his breath once, which maybe I am a little crazy. Crazy with OCD. All right, so fear of mistakes. That's another. So now it's going to do compulsions, and it has the same rating system. So, cleaning and washing compulsions. Repeated washing because of contamination. This is what I wrote. Repeated washing because of contamination or fear of chemicals. Fears something bad will happen. Repeated washing rituals to correct religious things. Washing items, phones, laptops, clothes, doors, doorknobs. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. I've ruined phones by washing them too much water with too much So I've done a lot, and cleaning. I've cleaned the doorknobs when I think I've contaminated them with anything that's been on my hand. Even if there's my hands were like this, I would do it. Um, anything really, stove. Like I said, the stove knobs. All right, checking compulsions, checking stove, checking door locks, checking anything really. So a lot of people have issues with that. It takes them a crazy amount of time to leave the house, and that's me. Checking, is the stove off? Are the lights off? Is the coffee maker off? Is the door locked? Let's check and see if the door's locked again. Oh, did I really check the stove good enough? You see these monsters? That's what they're saying. So you know, sometimes I just had to leave, because I'd be late. I late. OCD. It's all OCD though. It's all misfiring in your brain. Tell yourself that. Make sure it's off one time. Make sure the door's locked. Make sure the door's locked one time. Make sure everything is done one time and bounce. Leave. Get out and go do your thing. All right. Let the anxiety be there. Take some deep breaths, and it'll go away. It's easier said than done. I can say it, but it's easier said than done. And then here's more. Checking I didn't run over someone. We already explained that. Checking I made no mistakes. Checking vital signs constantly. I still do this. Checking my pulse, like making sure it's beating, making sure it's beating sometimes. I know it's crazy as that sounds, because if it wasn't, I wouldn't be here. But making sure it's not beating irregularly, like I wouldn't even know. I'm not a doctor. I don't have the stethoscopes and the EKG machine. I've wanted an EKG machine, but that would just feed into my assurance seeking. I would be using it all day. I'd be taking the EKGs all day. I've gotten so much better with that. I have not visited a hospital for an OCD reason. But I haven't visited a hospital in a long, long time, months and months, maybe even a year. So I thank God for that, because that was a strain. Spending hours, I must have wasted weeks and weeks of my life sitting in hospitals, months, just possibly of my life sitting in hospitals as many times as I've went. I mean, one time I've gone and the lady said, "You've been here 48 times since 2008." That was back in 2011 or 12, I think. I mean, uh, and so um, excessive tightening jars. That's another thing with me. Tightening the jars in like for condiments and things in the fridge. You know, um, making sure that it's tight enough. If it's not, then then my religious OCD gets involved, and it says, "Oh, you didn't tighten that enough. You're going to hell." And then OCD barks back at it, and I think it's me, and barks back at God, and there they go. See them? That's them. All right. Checking I didn't do something that may cause future harm to someone. It's been a while. Might not have struggled so much with that lately. But maybe if I didn't put something down right, put something back on the shelf right in a store, I would fear that I didn't do it right, or that I'm going to cause a future harm to someone because I didn't put something back right, or I put something in the wrong place. So, alright, so hoarding, saving, and collecting compulsion symptoms. I just wrote saving things and hoarding. What else you gonna write? Repeating, counting, ordering compulsion symptoms. Alright. Did that mess with my video? No. Okay. Drop the mouse. Alright. Um, rewriting. Rewriting, yeah. So I write with pencil. Everyday tasks. Um, repeating. I guess so. Until getting it right. Repeating, reading, praying, Bible, rituals, hand washing. Doing things a certain number of times. The numbers are big in OCD. For example, same number of swipes of deodorant under each arm every day. Something I go through. Um, if I do something with my right hand and something with my left hand, it has to be done the same amount of times. Sometimes I'm not, mainly with the deodorant though. Spraying cologne, odds and even numbers. Even numbers are good. Odd numbers, I don't know. Some people odd and even either way, but the number 13, the number 6, the number 7, you know, nines because it's an upside down 6. It can't be. And that deals with religious, that deals with non-religious. So it's a struggle. But I can tell you one thing that would be good exposure therapy for that is just go in. And for me too, I should make a challenge, an OCD challenge. I'll do another video for that another time, but an OCD challenge, you know, go in the bathroom and do 6 swipes of deodorant under one arm, and I don't want to go 13. That's a bit much, even though I do excessively. 6 is probably even more than some guys do, but people. So like say 6 on one arm, 7 on the other. You know, that would be good, and just sit with it and not go back and repeat it or add numbers to it. So where was I? Counting and during activities. So yeah, that's a big one. Counting. I go through that sometimes. Counting number of steps you're taking. Counting. What else can I use for an example? I'm sure you guys can, give me some feedback in the comments of the counting ones. Um, arranging things. Yeah, I do have that, I guess. Certain things, if I have a language learning book on Hindi, which I wanted to learn for a while, I would have, put all the Hindi books together, you know, keep the religious books away in their own spot, or keep the Blu-rays away from the DVDs, which I do that, you know. So because Blu-rays are more better, so they don't belong with the DVDs. They can't be stacked with the DVDs. That's the way it happens. So arranging things, repeating things like daily activities. That is like getting up and down from a chair. These are all things I wrote, people. I mean, as you can see, you know, it's not an easy struggle. And don't ever let anybody tell you that it's easy or just brush it off, or you shouldn't be that way, or that you can easily just discard it. Or some people that don't have it have the nerve to say, "Oh, I wouldn't let that bother me. Oh, I would just ignore it. It's the hardest thing when you don't have family supporting you. And that's why we need each other, and that's why I'm making this channel. I need the help. I'm sure that you need the help if you're watching this. And I don't. This is so hard when your family just does not support it. And I'm a prime example of that. I'm pretty much alone on it. And my dad started to break through a little bit with it and help me, but other than that, you gotta turn to friends or family or other family members, maybe your therapist. Talk to them about it. Support groups, whatever it may be. So, all right. So miscellaneous compulsions, um, mental rituals, prayers, thoughts, asking reassurance, saying sorry. That is a big one for me. Sorry to everyone. Sorry to God, for everything. Yeah, so, and there's always that do it or you're gonna go to hell, or do it or you're gonna die, or do it this or that. Um, confess things, yes. This is all what I wrote here. Wrong behavior, or tell people how I feel. I'm not sure what that was about. Wrong behavior or tell people how I feel. I don't know. Maybe I struggled with that, but avoiding things that may be dangerous. Um, well, that's always a good idea. Avoiding things that may be dangerous. It was probably I should really go into more depth when I write things down so I can be more helpful. But eating things or not to avoid dangerous thoughts. Hmm. Eating things or not to avoid dangerous thoughts. Okay, so I know what that's about. I still have this to this day. I still struggle with this. If you don't eat all your dinner, you're gonna die. That's what my thing is, with OCD. If you don't, sometimes I can get over that, but if you don't eat one more piece of broccoli off the plate, even though you're so stuffed, you're gonna die. And then it starts to rational, tries to be all logical. OCD comes in and he says, "Oh, you didn't have enough magnesium. You need those greens. You need to eat that little sliver of a piece of broccoli or green bean that's on your plate." And then you got um, them trying to say, "Oh, you're gonna have a heart attack if you don't." They're in your ear. Here they go. "You're gonna have a heart attack if you don't have more salt. So put a lot of mustard on your hot dog." And that has happened to me, and I've eaten some disgusting tasting hot dogs with too much ketchup, too much mustard. Or it goes the other way. "Don't eat this piece of cheese or it's gonna clog your arteries." And here they go. And then you rationalize some more. "But this and that." Oh, shut up, OCD. It's all OCD, right? You know, it happens so much with me. I've even taken, as crazy as it sounds, I've taken mustard and eaten it out of the bottle. And because of OCD telling me I'm not getting enough salt and I'm going to have a heart attack or something like that, crazy as it sounds, I've done these things. I've eaten spoonfuls of disgusting condiments because of that, and I'm not afraid to tell anybody. I'm not afraid to tell anybody my symptoms, and it's what you're getting now. You're getting a big dose of Matthew and his OCD. So there's avoidance situations that go into how to avoid them. Alright, and here's a rating system. 0, I never avoid it. 25, I only occasionally avoid it. 50, I avoid it about half the time. 75, I avoid it most of the time. 100. I completely avoid the situation at all costs. Okay, so here we go. Avoided situations, persons, places, things, or thoughts because of these little monsters running around my head. Um, Avoid certain numbers. I put a 75 or 100, so I do avoid a lot of numbers most of the time, so that's a severe one. Avoid public restrooms, 50. Um, Depending on what I got to do in there, I don't want to be gross. That could go up to 75 to 100. Avoiding, I don't even like going in public restrooms. Um, Avoid touching things, either fear of contamination or contaminating things, 75 to 100. Avoid wearing clothes that I feel are contaminated in certain situations, 75 to 100. That example of that is maybe wearing, maybe when I was going to church, um, wearing a very clean shirt, feeling that I had to do that, or not wearing a certain shirt that I think is contaminated with anything. Avoid sick people, 75. Avoid certain stores, 50. Thrift stores kind of creep me. Everything you touch, your hands feel disgusting, and a lot of people, probably normal people, feel that way too. But someone with OCD, it drives you nuts. Um, I keep a hand sanitizer in my car. I keep cloth wipes in my car. Um, you know, that are like baby wipes and stuff. Sanitize. I'm getting better with that since being on the medications, but avoid going certain places. 25 to 50. What I should have put there was 100 because I haven't been to church in a long time. Besides the priest that I visited months and months ago, um, like I said, Christmas Eve service was the last time, last Christmas, so we're already coming up to Christmas soon almost. So that's a little example of that. Okay, so now it's going to have your target symptoms um, and your compulsions. So your obsessions, situations, thoughts, images, or impulses that cause discomfort, and your compulsions, external or internal actions that neutralize discomfort. So something that makes it all feel better to do. That OCD is up here saying, do it, do it, do it. And these guys are going, oh, you said this bad thing. Now go pray, pray, pray. Oh, this bad thing. And when it really wasn't you, or they're saying, you touched something dirty. You touched a dirty thing. You touched dirty thing. Go wash your hands. Did you wash your hands enough? I don't think you did. If you don't wash your hands, they're saying it. If you don't wash your hands another time, you're gonna get a coli. You're gonna give someone else a coli. You're gonna get salmonella. And wash, wash, wash. That's what's going on. They're trying to rationalize. They're throwing the thoughts in there. He's up here telling you to wash. You know what I mean? It's you can't stop. It's like a million thoughts going all crazy like this. I should have put more of these guys all around my head the way OCD goes. Anyway, here's a list of what I wrote. Fear I did something wrong, sinful fear of going to hell. My compulsions were praying and other rituals, repeating good thoughts, denying bad ones. Fear of dying, sickness, catastrophic illnesses, going to ER, doctors, getting reassurance. That's my compulsions. Fear of contaminating everything, washing doors, handles, drawers, faucets, etc. It goes on, trust me. Um, Fear and thoughts something bad will happen if I don't eat or do something or wash something or do eat something. Taking more supplements. Alright, here's what I did. Here's compulsion. Man, I was going through a lot back then. Compulsions. Eat or don't eat something. Sometimes eating too much to make me feel sick. Washing more. doing or not doing things, you know. So those are some of the things. Fear of being contaminated, repeated washing. So now your target, now it gives me a little chart here. It says your target avoidance situations. Avoid touching things in fear of contaminating them. Avoid certain numbers. Avoid wearing clothes I feel are contaminated. Avoid public restrooms. Avoid going places. So that's just one chapter of whatever book this was from. I can check for you later. It's the OCD workbook. So it's the chapter 5 to assess yourself. Um, I just pretty much assessed myself. This is old material though, so I didn't go through everything that I struggle with today. But I hope that's helpful to you. I got more stuff here. Let's look through it. Go that down. Oh look, a bunch of worksheets I never completed. All from the OCD workbook, people. You know, you got to get in that book. That's a good one. Um, so mine's Scrupulosity ERP planning worksheet. And that is very hard. Um, and this is all blank, so I'm just going to pass by that. You got to get the book. Okay, so here is a little pie chart that I think that's what they call that, but a pie chart of what my therapist drew me. She actually did this for me. I mean, it looks like it'd take a long time, like right in the office. Okay, you see that little sliver down there? There's a little black line right there. And then there's some numbers down here that say a 0.00001% chance of happening. Probably it was about, excuse me, just getting comfortable. My foot would fall asleep. Taking a pill, and one of the side effects being that percentage, you know, or the percentage that, you know, something with OCD, but that was one way she was trying to help me. Okay, therapy. I wrote at the top, always in pencil so I can erase it, not have an ugly page. That's my OCD there. Major depressive disorder, recurrent OCD, and generalized anxiety disorder. Those are my diagnoses. Replace. Okay, so these are some things you can do. Replace with positive. Positive affirmations like I am not sinning, I'm going to heaven. These are just some of the things I'm struggling with. But you could say, my hands aren't dirty. I just washed them. My hands are fine. I will go sit down now and watch TV. Um, I'm going to heaven. I said, I'm not angry at God, but angry at OCD. I'm not angry at God. I'm angry at OCD. I'm not angry at my mom. I'm angry at OCD. I'm not angry at myself. I'm angry at OCD. Sometimes I'm very angry with myself though for listening to OCD. Denounce the OCD. Stop. Visualize a stop sign. Alright? I alright, so you in my situation with scrupulosity, I love God. I'm praying because I love God. Ignore and refute, you know, the OCD thoughts. I would say also you could, you know, I love God. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that I love God. It's not me. It's my OCD. It's a chemical imbalance in my brain. It's a misfiring in my brain. You could say anything. Um, note cards I wrote here, like I showed you before. Print. I love God. She told me a good movie to watch would be Silver Linings Playbook, and I watched it. It's pretty good. Um, Anxiety won't cause health problems unless you had something wrong. Somebody told me that. I don't know how true it is. So anxiety won't cause health problems unless you had something wrong. So I have no idea what the I don't I think anxiety can cause certain things to go bad. Um, Control. Alright, so have control. Believe everything will be okay. Um, okay, so here's a key one. Right here at the bottom, I want to show you this one. OCD slash my beliefs. Separate the two. Keep them separate. It's too hard. It's very hard though. I don't want to say it's too hard, but it's very hard. Okay, so now we're going into this video's dragging on here. Anxiety exposure hierarchy, SUDS level 0 to 100. Alright, leave without completing prayer for forgiveness after bad thoughts enter my mind against God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. 100. So that makes me late a lot of time before. Not repeating certain rituals to correct bad thoughts. 100 SUDS level. Rereading a Bible verse or reciting a prayer. 100. Not praying a blessing for a snack. 95. I used to pray for every little thing I used to put in my mouth. Whether it be a cookie, a cracker, or anything. Not taking religious, not taking religious literature. I used to have trouble with handing out tracts to people, and it's not good to push. I feel, and especially when it's OCD driven and not driven by God. Um, 90. Not praying for an ambulance. Every time I see an ambulance, I gotta pray. 100. Now I usually just pray in the morning once for the sick people in the world and the protection of the people of the world and the animals and God's earth. So, that's one way I use to not always pray for ambulances when I see them. Not saying God bless you. 75. I always have to tell everyone out and about God bless you that I interacted with. Holding a door for me or a cashier or something like that. Not posting verses on social accounts. 80. That I would give that 100 back then because my Facebook, my Twitter is just was and is a little bit today just full of religion, full of verses that I feel I have to post because of OCD. Some of them nowadays it's gotten less. Now I see a good verse, and if I read a couple verses on the apps on my phone, um, if I see a good verse, then I'll be like, oh, that's really good, that's really helpful. I'll post that. A lot of the time it's like the OCD, the gun. Post it or you're going to hell. What? And then you feel it. So that's that. Um, Not reading verses of the day. 85. Um, that's like probably 100. See, I wasn't correct one back then. Okay, so we got exposure pitfalls, which is on page 90. So like I didn't want to write in my book, and my therapist even said that the OCD workbook, it has places where you can write, and I didn't want to write in it to mess it up. And I don't like when there's bent corners in a book or a teared page. It's just like it ruins everything for me. But I didn't write in the book, so I wrote in these pages. Fear of doing this. Talk to a therapist. Doing rituals. I don't have no idea what that was for. Doing rituals during I guess during an obsession, during a prayer. Try not to do them. Okay, so this was how you reacted to it. So fear of doing this, talk to therapist, and how I reacted was talking to therapist. Doing rituals during, try not to do them. Trying to be perfect, I quoted it. Doing this, just go with it. That was my way of dealing with it. Trying to be perfect, doing this a certain way or the right way, just go with whatever way that's what you were trying to do, is come up with solutions for that. So here's page 92. Suds levels: fear of going to hell, 100%. Fear of dying, 100%. Someone might go to hell, I guess, if I don't do something like tell them God bless you. It feels like I'm responsible for their soul um, in that situation, which, you know, spread the word, but there's also OCD. So spread the gospel, but there's OCD. Someone might go to hell, 80, 50. Someone might get sick if I don't do something right, you know. So I got an 80, and I think that the first number is like a suds level, and the second is how often the percentage of times you act on it. I don't know. You have to get the book, OCD workbook. All right, so we got some more stuff here. Okay, so we have a chart here. Let's see if we can see this. A, B, C. A, B, C. Okay, so A. During washing, have thoughts of blasphemy. Repeat it, and then B is repeat hand washing and drying, saying, okay. So that's when I was having issues, like when I washed my hands, it was like washing God, Jesus, or the Holy Spirit down the drain. And repeat hand washing and drying, saying, I don't want them to leave me, I want them to stay with me. And I would just keep repeating it until it felt right. So this chart is, now C is the part where you want to get to. I feel safe. Stop. Everything will be okay. God loves me. Jesus loves me. The Holy Spirit loves me. That was my way of dealing with what I go through. So you could put anything there. Stop. My hands are clean. No one's going to get sick. It's all OCD, not me. Or stop. I checked everything. The door is locked. The stove is off. I have to leave. You know. So then over here in A, your problems, your symptoms during hand washing have thoughts of blasphemy, stress, fear of going to hell. Get hand washing correct. Dying, fear of dying, I guess. Fear of going to hell or dying. Get hand washing correct. Say, God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, I don't want you to leave me. And then B. But they're trying to say here with A, B, and C, you skip B. You can see that there is a line that just goes from A to B, A to C. You want to skip B. You want to skip the easier said than done, I know, but so instead of me washing my hands again, I could have just said, that's not me, it's my OCD. Dried my hands and walked out. So that's a good chart. This is very simple, A, B, and C. We have other charts here. It's a thought record sheet. Alright, so we will not get into this today because this video is dragging. So I'm going to save some of this for you. I do hope that, let's try see what this is here. Okay, so here's what I mean by a journal. This is a good example of a journal. Okay, if you can see how that's set up, and then I'll read each section for you. It's very hard to see, but let me just break it down for you. There's a section for the time. There's a section for the situation, the description of ritual, the discomfort level of 0 to 100, and the duration of the ritual. So let me get one that is really bad here. September 27th at 4 p.m. This was probably a year ago, or 2 years ago, 3 years ago, who knows. Had many thoughts bad against God. That's the situation, which were OCD, of course. Had to keep praying for forgiveness and kept having bad things pop in my head, So I had to keep praying again and again. So when you start to try to correct one thing, OCD brings up a million different other things. My discomfort level was 80, and I spent 40 minutes doing that ritual. So that's always good to have and also take with you to your therapist. So here's another one. This is because I want to read this one because it was I'll just read all three. There's only three of them on here. 5 p.m. was singing a worship song. Had bad thoughts during and had to repeat singing. 90 discomfort level, 20 minutes. 5 o'clock. Had a thought, blamed God for something. Nagging thoughts to pray for forgiveness. Finally gave in and prayed. See? I gave in. My discomfort level was 70, and it took me. It must have happened more than once because I put 5 minutes / 30 minutes. So that's other things here. We got stuff that I struggle with here. So here's a good one. A situation, touching things, feeling of contaminating them. 90 suds level. Clean or go to. I don't clean or got to. I don't know. But must washed many times or the correct amount. It's just seeing an ambulance, 100 suds level, feeling I must pray for him. Hyper responsibility. It's not bad to pray for people, but pray for the ambulance and all people involved. It goes to extremes. Seeing people walking or out, must say a prayer for or say God bless them. That was a big one back in my past. 90 or suds. My compulsion was to pray for them. Eating 70 to 100 because this fluctuates. Glass is not clean enough. Not enough salt or sugar, etc., or something bad may happen. Must rinse or add much sugar or eat more, etc. I've eaten some salty, sugary things. Crazy. It's crazy, I know. It's rinse the glasses so many times. I struggle with washing dishes to this day. Taking pills, 100. What if I have an adverse reaction? Don't take or pray over. I'll have a ritual where I have to pray over each pill, which in itself is not a bad thing to do, but with the OCD, obsessively doing it, it's the OCD way. Interaction with people, like what I was talking about before, 90. Have to say God bless or something. Sometimes find a way to go back and say it. So, I'm saying that those of you struggling with religious OCD, if God wants you to do something, you're going to know it. You're going to hear it. I'm going to put these away and we'll go over some more. This is another video. But you're going to hear it. Here's something. But you're going to hear it. You're going to know it. It's not going to be any doubt about it. You're not going to doubt. With OCD, you're going to doubt it. OCD is going to be like, if you don't go tell that person that it'll act like it's God. If you don't go tell that person that Jesus loves them, they're gonna go to hell, and or you're gonna go to hell, or they're gonna take your spot in heaven, or really, I mean, God is love, God is mercy, God is gentle and kind, and you're gonna know it. You're gonna know it when God is talking to you. He's going to make it clear. It says it in the Bible. So, I mean, there's not going to be a doubts like that. And one book that I read said that if you have to think whether or not you have to pray for forgiveness for something, it's probably your OCD. It probably wasn't really a sin. Because when you sin, you're going to know it. You're going to feel the conviction. You're going to want to pray. And that's very hard to decipher well, I shouldn't say that, but you always have that feeling of anxiety, and you can't get or I'm contradicting myself a little here, but all right, it's hard. It's very hard with anxiety because you think that it's really. I'm explaining it wrong, but you think that it's really um, God. You think that it's the Holy Spirit's conviction, but you're not going to have confusion if it really is God or the Holy Spirit or Jesus talking to you. You're going to have it just hit you, and you're going to know it. And you're not going to sit there and think about it like, is it true? Am I really gonna, is this really gonna, like that? And God, I don't think that God's up there, you know, being like, I'm gonna send you to hell if you don't put that book back the right way, that Bible back on the shelf, or put it in the right spot, or say this to somebody. But, so um, this is a little chart. Just one last thing here. You can see this. It says 0 to 10, calm, cool, collected, and then there's in between, and then there's 10, high, anxiety, and panic. So, in her office, she had me probably do something that I wouldn't normally like to do that is OCD related, or I had an OCD thought and she wanted me to go refer to this. So, she would say, instead of me acting out my ritual, my compulsion, um, to make the anxiety go away, was sit and just sit with it. Take a few deep breaths. Let it come all the way out from your stomach, and it just, you know, and sit. And then rate your anxiety about 10 minutes later. Rate it in the beginning first, if you're at the minute. So say it was a 10 at the beginning. And after you didn't do anything to correct your bad thought or your ritual or whatever, or your obsession, you take those breaths, you calm down a little bit. Say it drops, your anxiety dropped to an 8. You know, keep track of that. Try it out. Make these little cards, man. Men and women. I keep saying man. Just my thing. So yeah. And another thing I wanted to say. You see this? This is the Punisher thing. It's a skull. I never would have wore something like that back when my OCD was bad. Before the therapy, before the psychiatrist, before the Zoloft and Xanax that I'm on now. Anything related to death is a big OCD thing for people, and I had that. Um, People wear like skulls on their shirts. I would not dare do it. Now I would. Now it's different. I feel differently about that. Um, you know, uh, it's like a fear of. It's kind of like I can compare it to like someone in a hospital touching infected blood. You think that that shirt or that this necklace is infected with death, and you're gonna catch it if you wear it. So it's ridiculous. I know when you talk about it, it's ridiculous, and that's why it's good to talk about it sometimes. And this video is so long, and I doubt anyone will get to the end. But if you do, I hope it helps, and I'll have more videos to come. Um, I'm always struggling with I'm always talking about the religious OCD. That's because I mostly struggle with. I will get into videos where I do not talk about all religious OCD, but some of the other types. And let's defeat these guys and this guy. So these guys can be the OCD monsters, putting those thoughts in your head, trying to make them seem logical, trying to rationalize, and this guy's like, do it, or else, do it, or else. And these guys are just going at you continuously in your mind, you know? Stop sign. Just stop. I don't have one right now. Should have one down there, but stop sign, it's not me, it's my OCD. Walk away from the situation. Take some deep breaths. Calm down. Talk to someone. Do whatever you gotta do. Go play a game. Go call a friend. Take a walk. Just clear your mind of that and just try to avoid it. And also, another thing is, it's not me, it's my OCD. It's a misfiring in my brain. I wouldn't think like that. These are just some things that help me. Um, I'm not that way. I love this person. I love God. I do not think that way. That is what helps me mainly is it's OCD. It's not me. Alright, this video went on very long. Sorry for that. But I just go on and on when it comes to OCD. So, I hope you like this video. I hope you like and subscribe to me. I hope that I will get lots more videos out that will be helpful to you. And I also ask for your help too for myself. This is like my OCD YouTube channel support group, whatever you want to call it. We can start it, you know, whatever you struggle with. Um, we're here to help each other out. And like I said before, if you have an unsupportive family, you need to have outlets, people that will support you. So, everyone, I thank you for watching. And comment, please. I'm not getting any comments, so just please comment for me. I got one comment, which is very nice, but I don't believe I've gotten too many comments. Um, requests. Give me requests. I love requests. I'll research it. I have so much OCD research, depression, anxiety stuff. I'll research it for you. I'll try to help my best. I'm not a therapist. I just go through it, but we can talk about it. I mean, whatever. I'll make any videos. So just request down in the comments down there, like it, subscribe, and remember, it's not you, it's your OCD. Goodbye, everyone. Take care, and I wish you all the best.